Pretty girls don't need jobs. If you're in your feminine energy, you should not be going 50-50. Someone else should be paying for you. And if you're not, that means that you're in your masculine energy. And honestly, if you're going 50-50, you should be embarrassed at this point. At least according to TikTok. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kate. If you're new here, I tend to talk about luxury handbags, shoes, all types of stuff like that. And today I wanted to do a different type of video. I feel like it has some crossover with the luxury community though, because I feel like on TikTok, if you get into the luxury community algorithm, you also get into the stay-at-home girlfriend algorithm and the men pay for everything algorithm. So I think that they have some crossover, and I feel like it's time that I talk a little bit about it. This is not going to be a video that is just bashing stay-at-home girlfriends. If that's what you're looking for, that's not what this is. This is kind of just the truth and the problems that I'm seeing with this. I have so many notes on my phone for this video. I have been wanting to talk about this for a while now. The stay-at-home girlfriend trend is not like brand new at this point, and I thought that it would die down real quick, but it really hasn't died down at all. Say over the last year, I've seen this growing and growing, and I don't know if it's because of my algorithm personally, but it's I can't stop seeing it. So some girls want a career, some girls don't want a career, some can't work at the moment because of whichever situation, and all of those are totally fine. So what's the actual problem with the stay-at-home girlfriend? The problem is that it's stopped being a celebration of your stay-at-home girlfriend lifestyle and other people who have similar lifestyles, and it's starting to become something where it seems like people are pushing other people to have that lifestyle too and shaming people who don't, and that's when it's not okay. So some of these videos are actually pretty relaxing. It shows a pretty chill lifestyle where the girl is taking care of a home and maybe she's cooking or cleaning or usually making coffee. It's usually about making coffee. I'm going to be honest. I think that 50% of the videos are just making coffee, and that's being a stay-at-home girlfriend. But some of them are actually really interesting. Some of them show the whole day of going exercising, doing all this stuff. So it can be relaxing to watch, and I get that. So is this unemployed bliss some people's reality? Yes, absolutely. This is some people's reality. This is their real life sometimes. But should it be a trend? Absolutely not. You're telling me that having a job is out of style? Making your own money is too masculine now? That's weird. How is that not weird? There are people over here 50-50. I could never. Oh, you have a man? Oh, and you have a job? That's weird. That's not weird. It's not weird. It's how a lot of people live. It's very normal. Now, I feel since I'm going to be on the topic of stay-at-home girlfriends and I'm going to be talking about other people's lifestyle, I think that it's only fair that I share my own lifestyle so that you understand my perspective and where I'm coming from. Now, I personally don't feel oh, I'll never financially depend on a man. I'll never do that. I don't really feel that way because maybe one day if it makes financial sense or if I have kids or something, maybe I will. To be honest, I'm not completely against that. So I am in a relationship. I live with my boyfriend and I have a job. He has a job too, and I contribute a bit less financially, but not by a lot, not by an extreme amount or anything where I would count myself out of the 50-50 category. I feel if you're 40-60, they're still talking about you. They're still talking about us, girl. They're talking about the 50-50 girlies, they're talking about us. So personally, I really like my job. I work in tech. And I think that a lot of good things come out of having a career or having a job in general. When you start to really learn your job or when you do something that's challenging and you overcome it and you become really good at something, that can build a lot of confidence. I like my job. I like my relationship. I pay some bills and I live it's very normal. So I really think it's important to keep in mind that not everyone hates their job. There are a lot of people who are in a similar situation to me where I like my job. I don't want to give up my job. If I did something else, if I was making enough money with my own business or I was doing something like that, I'd be fine with that. Fine with giving that up. And on the other hand, I also don't identify as my career. My career is not my life. I feel I have a really good work-life balance. I work from home, which is great. So stay-at-home girlfriend, I kind of am, I feel these videos should never make you feel your life can't be fun and happy and you can't do really cool things if you have a job or if you're not with someone who's extremely wealthy. Because that's just not the case. And the really good part about the fact that both of us work is that we get to do a bunch of cool things that cost money. I never thought I'd have to say this, but making money can be really great. Now, like I said, is the unemployed stay-at-home girlfriend life some people's reality? Absolutely. Are some of these relationships probably really strong and healthy? Absolutely. But like I said, I don't feel this should be a trend at all because it's very normal to share responsibilities in a relationship. It's very normal to go 50-50. It's also very normal to help your partner out if they need to, if they're going back to school or something and you're paying for their food or whatever. Like, it can be anything like that. Like, it is supposed to be a partnership. That doesn't have to be in a way where like the man is going to pay for everything and be masculine all the time, or the woman is going to not pay for anything and be feminine all the time. Usually people are a mix of both, and that's normal and that's totally fine. Also, I want you to keep in mind that not everything that you see is exactly what it seems. Like I said, a very small portion of people live that way. I watched a video recently from Ashley Viola, and I will link it down below because it was really, really good. Oh God, if I mess up the title, I'm sorry, but it was like how stay-at-home girlfriends are like lying to you. And in her video, she was talking about how a lot of these girls are making money off of social media. So it's not like they're just at home. They know that stay-at-home girlfriend is a trend. So maybe they were already an influencer before and they had a boyfriend with a job. And now it's like, okay, well, we can spin this into stay-at-home girlfriend. And I think that that's a very valid point. Because if you make the videos more like cringeworthy, if you make them more annoying, as they say, triggering the 50-50 girlies, then you're gonna get more views and you're gonna make more money. There's girls watching the videos, wanting to be stay-at-home girlfriends, wanting to give up their income, wanting to have someone else pay for them, when the girl in the video might not even be doing that. She might be making money off of social media, and that is her own like security blanket, or maybe that pays for her half of the bills. You never know. Like, you just can't believe everything that you see. So I think that this next topic goes hand in hand. I want to talk about femininity content. I actually really liked femininity content when it first was starting to really become popular. I would say like it was a good like 3 or 4 years ago when I started seeing it more and more on YouTube. And I actually really liked the content because at that point it was very much optional. Like, the creators seem to really understand that they are talking to a niche group of people who want to become more traditionally feminine. Those tips, those like ways of dressing, those ways of talking, those mannerisms, stuff like that, that was all geared toward a specific audience who really wanted to learn that. But it was like there was this understanding that this was not for everyone and not everyone was going to want that, and that that was fine. And now it seems like the content is more geared toward leaning into your femininity is the #1 way to improve your life. And that's just not true. There's always going to be ways that you can work on yourself. There's always going to be ways that you can build your confidence. There's so many other things besides being quote unquote feminine that can make your life better, and that can make you feel better about yourself, and that can attract people into your life that you want to be around. Femininity is not this fixing everything thing. To be honest, I think that the one thing that really has helped people from this femininity content is not being afraid to ask for help or accept help. And I think that that is something that people consider a masculine thing of like, oh, I don't need help. I don't need help. I know you can't do this for me. And then when people change and go to like, okay, well, I will accept help or I will ask for help, then they're like, oh, I'm starting to see so many other things happen to me. Like, so many people are doing things for me. And like, it's because you're accepting it. And it's not necessarily being more feminine versus less feminine. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe it will help fix your life forever. Who knows? Also, being in your feminine energy does not mean that you can't have a career. And just because you have a career doesn't mean that you can't have a soft life. Don't let these girls make you feel like you're not good enough to have someone else pay for your lifestyle, because that's not the goal. Also, just because you have a job does not mean that your partner is broke or that your partner doesn't have enough money to take care of the both of you. There are tons and tons of successful couples where both people are really high earners. So when both people are high earners, it can be a really great combination because you guys can afford to do a lot more stuff. There are a lot of different relationship dynamics. It's not like you're like, oh, the 50-50 people are the ones that lose, and the people where the man is rich and buys you a bunch of stuff, they win. It's just not realistic. And I think that if you're looking to TikTok for something realistic, then you're looking in the wrong place. Next, I want to talk about finances. So first, I think that we need to acknowledge that finances are a very real thing, because on TikTok, it doesn't seem like they're real. I would say that TikTok makes me feel like every man who is over 26 years old makes at least $400,000 a year. And if he doesn't, then why are you talking to him? Which part of the reason that I would believe it is because of the girls' TikToks, but then the other part that I would believe it is because of the TikToks that I see of men talking about passive income, talking about how they made like $12 million last year. There's a lot of flexing on TikTok. So of course it makes everything look overinflated. And like that leads to some really ridiculous things. We're at a time where people will literally make fun of you for having an entry-level luxury car. Or you have like an entry-level Mercedes. Ew, like that's why no. Oh, you have an entry-level BMW? Oh, you have a Ferrari? Oh, but it's a California? And that's considered quote unquote entry-level, but these cars are all still expensive. So What? And I do see this in the handbag world too. Let me relate it to something that I know. I will see people's videos like unboxing my first Hermes bag. And usually it's on TikTok. Like, the luxury community on YouTube is like pretty respectful, but on TikTok, you can come across anyone on your videos. And I feel like there's just a wider audience there. And like somebody will be like, oh, unboxing my first Hermes bag. And then people will be like, oh, it's just an Evelyn. You're like, yeah, but like it's a pretty expensive bag. Like that's a nice bag. Oh, it's just a Pico 10. That's thousands of dollars still. Oh, and if you get a Birkin or Kelly, well, it's not exotic. It's not even rare. You don't have a mini Kelly? Oh, your mini Kelly's not exotic? It's ridiculous at this point, honestly. So yeah, finances are real and TikTok is not a good representation of that. I want to talk very briefly about preference. Now, preference when it comes to dating, a lot of times I feel like I hear this when talking about how someone looks or physical appearance with someone's preference. And having a preference is fine. Same thing with you if you prefer to be in a relationship where your partner is going to be paying for your expenses and you don't have that financial burden. If that's your preference and that's what you're dating for and you're open about that, that's fine. But as we know with preference, it's fine to have your own preference, but putting down other people in order to have your own preference is not right. So if you're here saying that you're better than another girl because you have a different preference than her, that's not okay. Different people live different lives and that used to be okay, but now apparently it's not. The next thing I want to talk about is risk management, and this is probably the most widely talked about one when I've seen other people comment on stay-at-home girlfriend TikTok. People act like they're worried about the girls being able to find a job after or being able to make money if something happens to their relationship. And honestly, I don't really feel like the people who comment that are actually worried about them at all. I think that they're just hating. I think that if you are in a position though where you're thinking about quitting your job and your partner is going to be supporting you, you should think about some things, because what I'm seeing on TikTok is girls that are like, I've known him for 6 months and he retired me at the age of 22. And it's like 22 is very young. Like that's a very young age to feel like you're ready to stop working when you've barely started your career. And I think that it's just something to really heavily consider, because having your own income and having your own money, and maybe you do through social media or whatever the case is, but like having your own money and having your own income, I feel like you at least need to know what that feels like to like establish yourself and to know that you can make money and to know that you have something on your resume before you feel like you're ready to give that up. Now, people are like, oh, they're going to have a gap in like work history and they're not going to find a job. You can find a job, and it's not like it's impossible, but it is going to be a lot harder. But like I said, I do feel like the people who comment that, a lot of times they comment like really passive aggressively, and I don't want to come off that way. I want people to realize that like you really have to weigh your options in situations like this. There are so many things that can happen in that relationship. If you're a stay-at-home girlfriend at like 23, 24, 25, and you're like, oh, he retired me at X age, don't trap yourself in a situation that you may not want to be in the future. Also, you have to take into account the fact that the person paying for you may not be like who they say they are, and they may not have the money that they say that they have. Very easily people can be lying to you. I've seen that people get married and they thought that their partner had a bunch of money and they actually don't, and they have a bunch of debt. Another thing that I feel like people say kind of passive aggressively that they don't really mean is like, oh, like you're his girlfriend, you're not his wife, like you're not going to be financially compensated if you break up, which is true. So is being married and being in this position more secure? Yes. Is having like kids in this position more secure? Maybe, because you might get child support, you might get alimony. But also those things are not necessarily guaranteed, because what if something happens to his income? And that could happen whether you're in a stay-at-home girlfriend situation, whether you're at a stay-at-home wife situation, stay-at-home mom situation. You just don't know what's going to happen. So the reason I feel like people think it's okay when it's like a stay-at-home mom situation or stay-at-home wife situation is because they feel like you have at least a bit of security. You can't guarantee anything in life, so nobody is like fully safe, but you have a layer of security, and I understand that, but I feel like people comment it to make you feel like, oh yeah, but you're not good enough to be his wife though. Like, and it's like, girl, you're just hating. Like there are a lot of haters in those comments. I feel for the girls who are making these videos because I don't know if I could deal with the hate. One thing that I really do like is that it seems like the opposite is starting to pop up. So there's corporate girly TikTok that I have been seeing a lot more of recently. And the thing about the corporate girl TikToks, they don't really seem to put other people down. It's kind of more of like a, oh, relatable corporate girly romanticizing your job kind of thing, rather than like a, oh, like you don't work or like you don't have a good career, you don't make a lot of money, like, well, then you're bad. It's not like that. And so that's why I really like that part of TikTok. And I personally love that side of TikTok, but obviously that's not for everyone, and that's fine. So in conclusion, my channel is primarily a luxury YouTube channel. And one thing that I've noticed in the luxury community is that there are a lot of women who make videos showing off like their Birkins, their Kellys, etc. And a lot of times it's assumed that their husbands are the ones that make money. But a lot of times that's also not the case. There are some girls on here that have really great careers, that have businesses, that make a ton of their own money and that are able to finance their own lifestyle. But you wouldn't call them like, oh, like they're losers because they go like 50-50 or because they make a bunch of money themselves, like they're losers. Like, no, you would never call them that because you're like, oh, wow, they seem to really love their lifestyle. I honestly feel like we should just go back to having personal goals and like deciding what we actually want out of life, because there's so much influence on what we should want out of life or what we should be embarrassed about, what we should or shouldn't put up with. I just don't think that that's helpful for life in general. If you are someone who looks up to the stay-at-home girlfriends and you would like to be in a position like them, all I would say is just to make sure to be careful and protect yourself as much as you can. Keep in mind that that lifestyle is not nearly as common as what TikTok makes it seem like. So just keep in mind when you see these videos, you are not seeing everything. You're not seeing the relationship dynamic. And not to say that some of these relationships aren't great. This is just not nearly as popular of a way that people live. And it's not always healthy. And it's not always going to be this picture perfect lifestyle that you see on TikTok. And I feel like logically we know that. But it always helps to have somebody reinforce it because you can get lost in TikTok. I feel like it's very easy to get lost there. It's this whole different world. And all of a sudden you feel like your partner's not making enough money. And now it's affecting your relationship that you didn't have a problem with before. Basically, the point of this video is not to let social media get to your head. You already know that, but I think that we should talk about it because social media is such a big part of life. Yeah, that is all that I have. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different than what I normally do, but I hope that you still liked it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one. Also, let me know in the comments how you feel. What's your perspective? Have you been a stay-at-home girlfriend? Are you a stay-at-home girlfriend? What's your perspective on the whole situation? I would love to hear it. Even if you disagree with me, I would still love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.